Hi everybody, my name is Sam Pedro. Welcome to today's video. I'm going to be discussing the book Yogi, which was written by Jon Pessah. This is a relatively new book. It was published in April of 2020, and the book itself is about the legendary Hall of Fame baseball player Yogi Berra. And I had a lot of fun with this book, and I'm excited to talk about it today. The reason I decided to read this book is I didn't really know much about Yogi Berra. I had seen the name plenty of times. He's one of the most quoted people alive, especially of the last 100 years. You see many quotes attributed to him. And so I'd repeatedly see quotes and leading back to Yogi Berra. And so when this book came to my attention, I was immediately interested because anyone who's quoted or quotable, I think it's worth checking out, especially when you see it multiple times. And so that's why I decided to pick up this book and to read it. I played baseball in high school. I enjoyed playing baseball. I had a lot of fun with it. And when I was in high school, I would follow Major League Baseball. But since high school, I don't know anything that's going on in the big leagues. And I don't follow baseball. I don't really play baseball anymore. And so I went into this book kind of having some knowledge of baseball, growing up playing it, but not following it and not really knowing a lot about the history of baseball. So Yogi Berra, he was prominent in the late 40s and the 50s and the 60s, playing for the New York Yankees. And so as far as that era of baseball, other than a few of the names like Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio and Babe Ruth, I didn't really have an understanding of that era of baseball. And I say all this because I went into this book without that knowledge, and I kind of want to communicate in this video that even if you don't know a lot about that era of baseball, I still think you could enjoy this book, because I definitely did. And so you don't need to have this sound understanding of New York Yankees history. You can go into it knowing a little bit about baseball, or even really no baseball experience or knowledge, and I think you could still get a lot out of this book. This is a biography, so it just walks through Yogi Berra's life. He was born in St. Louis. He was Italian, and something I learned I didn't really realize was that Italian in those days, around the 30s, around the Depression era, were considered non-white. And so many job postings, they'll have a wage for if you're white or if you're black or if you're Italian. And many times that Italian wage was actually lower than the black wage. And so there's quite a bit of discrimination towards Italians. And so the book kind of explores that and how that affected Yogi Berra's life growing up. He actually served during World War II, and that had issues as well because Italy, obviously, their role that they played during World War II, as being an enemy towards the U.S. for a time, that they were discriminated against as well. And so kind of his late teens, around 1820, when he's playing baseball, from the stands, everyone knew he was Italian, and they would be yelling out racial slurs to Yogi Berra because of his Italian heritage. And so that was kind of interesting to learn about, and just how an Italian American or Italian immigrants were viewed in America at this time. And obviously that did change during his lifetime. Yogi Berra was not a tall guy. I believe he was 5'7", and he was a catcher, which most catchers tend to be taller. But he ended up playing for the New York Yankees, and a lot of people betting against him. Kind of had an unorthodox way of playing baseball, but just did extremely well. And he actually, I didn't actually check the record book, but I think he has 10 World Series of rings, which is the most of any player. I think there might be others. I'm not sure. So one of the the winningest players of all time. Baseball was extremely popular during Yogi Berra's time. It was by far the most popular sport of the day, America's pastime. And so Yogi Berra was in the limelight. Everybody knew who he was. He was a household name as he played. And it was just part of some very memorable teams, very memorable moments, which the book walks through. One thing about Yogi Berra he's probably most known for is something called Yogisms. And he had a way of saying things which was very quotable. So some of his most famous quotes are, "It ain't over till it's over. If you come to a fork in the road, take it. Always go to other people's funerals or else they won't come to yours," or "No one goes there anymore, it's too crowded." All of these really just don't make sense if you break it apart and think about it. But in a way, they do kind of make sense. And so I had fun with these Yogisms. I recommend you go look up Yogi Berra's, I don't know, top 50, top 100 quotes, because I'm sure you've heard some of these at some point in your life. So I think that's all I will say as far as Yogi. It's just a standard biography that walks through his life. I think there's a lot of elements of Yogi Berra's life that are admirable. He was a hard worker, almost, this pinnacle of an American dream. Comes from, this Italian immigrant background, and works his way up by working hard, giving his all day, every day, built himself this great career and this great home life. And so just, a lot to enjoy in this book, a lot to learn about. And I really did. I had fun with this book. And so if you are interested in Yogi Berra or the Yankees, or really, just wanted to read about someone who's a very prominent figure of the last 100 years, then go check out Yogi. I definitely think you will enjoy it. But thanks for watching. Please hit that like button, and I will see you in the next video.